Hey everybody, let's talk about cars. Not the movie, no, we're talking about actual cars. If you follow me on Twitter, you may have seen me complain about my car issues over the past year. Or if you saw my post-Lauren Southern thing that I did, where I complained to the right wolf that my car was causing me so much shit and I had to get a new one. Well, we got some stuff to say about that. I have been wanting to make this video for months, just because I want to talk about it. I want to give advice. I want to give advice on car bullshit, and I want to make sure no one ever goes what I went through, or at least if they do, they are better prepared for it than I am. Sorry about the lighting. It is almost 8 o'clock in the morning, it's cloudy, and I just want to get this video done. I have had car problems pretty much since the beginning. My first car fell apart while I was driving it. Yeah. The second one it ran fine, but I never would have gotten it past an inspection without putting in like $1,000. And I was just going to college, so I'm like, oh, I'll sell it. Sold it to my old boss. And I didn't have his car all through college, and then after I graduated, I got a 1996 Toyota Corolla, about for $1,000. For $1,000, I can safely say it was worth the money, and for 10 months, it was good. I had zero problems. It was the car I went to during my lunch break at Walmart, because I just had to get away from people. It was my Pizza Hut delivery car. I have a lot of memories in that car, and they probably will continue. This story doesn't have a happy ending. Doesn't really have a sad ending, more like, well, that was pointless kind of ending. I do want you to laugh, because some stuff that happens is funny, and maybe in 5 years I'll find them funny, but just remember, all this shit did happen to me, and this all had very severe consequences on my life. I'm going to get angry, and I am going to tell the names of companies that fucked me. And maybe I am complaining, maybe this is all first world problems. In fact, it is first world problems, but they still suck. The Corolla actually had problems before. All throughout 2016, it was just causing me so much stress. I had to go to the mechanic 4 times. Twice for flat tires, twice for engine bullshit that was so bad I actually had to get a Firestone credit card. Yes, Firestone. Remember that name, because it's going to come up a lot, and I will fucking massacre them. I hate them. But I got a Firestone credit card. By the end of 2016, I had basically spent twice as much fixing the Corolla than I did buying it. But all through 2017 it was great. I only had to go to the mechanic twice. Once for an inspection, of course, and once because my brake light was out. But that was easy to fix. But 2018 has been awful. And so we're just going to go down from the very beginning of the year till 2 days ago with my car bullshit. So in the final days of 2017, I was at my parents' place for Christmas, and my dad had to borrow the car to go somewhere. And he comes back and he's like, your back brakes are squeaking. And I had noticed that. I just was kind of trying to ignore it because I didn't want to go to the mechanic. But after he told me, I'm like, fine. Now, despite the fact that I went to Firestone all throughout 2016 and that one time in 2017, he actually told me to go to a different place because Firestone is incredibly expensive. Their labor costs are like so much. So he says, take it to Monroe muffler brakes to get the big brake pads replaced. And I'm like, okay, that seems fair enough. And so in January of 2018, like the second week of the year, I take it down there and tell them, can you replace my brake pads? And they're like, okay. So I'm sitting there watching stuff on my phone, and about 45 minutes later, he comes out and says, your brake pads are actually pretty good, but your muffler really could use replacing. What? The muffler? I mean, yeah, I knew it was a little loud, but I didn't think it was... whatever. So I'm like, okay, fine. But yeah, they replaced it, and it was way more expensive than I was hoping to, but I'm like, okay, I'll pay it. Done. Done. The car is fine. The brake pads weren't a problem, I guess. Then we get into early February. I'm driving to work. Now, I work from 1 in the morning till 9 in the morning, so it is pitch black out. And all of a sudden, police lights come up behind me, and I'm freaking out because I had actually gotten a traffic ticket, a speeding ticket, a few months before, like Black Friday, like when I was driving up to my parents' place for Thanksgiving, and I'm like, oh no, please don't. I was not speeding. What's going on? I can't get another ticket and have more points on my record. I might lose my license. So he comes up and he's like, your back right brake light is out. Oh, okay. Same as it was in 2017. Just decided to take it to Firestone because it's like, well, why not? And it turns out I had to replace the entire, system. What had happened was there was this little crack in the light, and moisture had seeped into it, and then it got cold and froze it, froze all the circuits, so you had to replace all that. So that was a bummer, and I had to use the credit card for that because the muffler had taken so much of my money. But I actually paid that off on February 16th. But after that was done, I'm like, okay, that's it. Nothing else could go wrong. Less than a week later, I was driving to work, and I hit a pothole. Now, it was pretty hard. I was going reasonably fast, but I'd hit potholes before, and nothing had ever happened. Well, now I'm terrified of them. As soon as I hit that pothole, battery light comes on, and once I get to my turn, I can't turn it. Well, I can, but it's really hard. Like, you have to really struggle. And this scared me because remember when I said my first car collapsed on me? That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like when the car... What happened was, the bottom rusted out. So all the gears and shit were dragging on the ground. This is when I was, 17, I think, and I was scared shitless. But this one happened, and I'm like, no, this can't happen. This can't fucking happen. So once again, I go to Firestone. I believe this was all February 21st. So I tell them I hit the pothole and what was wrong, and they take it in to go get it fixed. What was wrong with it? Everything. Fucking everything was wrong with it. I have the notes here of what was wrong with it. The alignment was out of whack. My radiator was corroded. 2 of the pipes were leaking coolant. The engine gaskets needed to be replaced. The stabilizer bar was fucked. I needed more oil. And yes, I needed to replace the rear brake pads. The only thing they did that night was realign it so I could get it home. But I had to come back Friday to get everything else done. So on Friday, I drop off the car at 9:30 a.m. I walk down to the gym, which is 20 minutes by walking, maybe a little less. Then I went to the theater and finally saw Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Went to McDonald's to get something to eat, and I got back to the mechanic at 3 o'clock. And I still sat there for 3.5 hours. And they hadn't even fixed everything. That's the funny thing. They had fixed most of it, but they still needed to replace 2 pipes for the radiator. They couldn't get those in until Tuesday, so they're like, okay, you should be good, just come in again on Tuesday. I pay with the credit card, which pretty much maxed it out, because the credit card only has a limit of $1,200, so yeah, that was completely maxed out. That was the point where I'm like, 2018 is gonna suck, isn't it? But before we could even get to Tuesday to replace it, I was trying to get to the gym. I start to pull out of the parking lot, and once again, I can't turn. The battery light comes on, and I'm like, God fucking damn it. Just God damn it. I hate you so fucking much. What happened was, apparently the pothole dislodged the thing that allows for power steering. So it kept breaking the belts. So what I did was I left it with them, and I had to walk back to my place and walk to work and walk back, and then had to walk down there again. And all this in February weather in Pennsylvania. Here's the thing, I am 3 hours away from my family. My friends work like very different shifts than I do, to where when on weekdays when I'm awake, they're asleep. When I'm sleeping, they're at work. It's like really weird. I don't get to see them on weekdays. And as for Uber, like at that time, for some reason it wasn't working. Well, actually at that point I didn't really have money. Like I didn't. So yeah, I had to walk to work and back. My feet bled. My feet were bleeding. What normally takes me 10 to 12 minutes took me an hour and a half. Again, in freezing cold Pennsylvania weather. So I go down to Firestone, and they're like, okay, we got it fixed. And then I remember the card had a limit, and I didn't have money to pay for it. So they wouldn't let me take the car. So what I had to do was call my mom. I really hate asking my parents for money. I really do. I want nothing less than to ask my parents for money. But I was broke because of this. But thankfully she was able to get it in after this long, complicated series of events. And all this, I'm still not done. Remember, they still have, what was it? The pipe coolant something or whatever. So about a month later, after I get my tax refund, I go to get that fixed. Normally I would have used the tax refund to pay for student loans, but can't do that. Gotta work on the car. And then, those fuckers have the goddamn audacity to lie to my face. They told me the fuel line was leaking and that my shocks would never pass an inspection. And both of those things were lies. The inspection was up in July. Yeah, I'm just like, Dad, I don't want to do this. I don't want to. Like, the fuel line I don't think will be a problem, and it wasn't. It wasn't leaking. They were lying. But I was still worried that they wouldn't pass me for an inspection. So I'm like, okay, in May I will probably have enough to buy a new car. So May comes around and I finally have enough money to get a somewhat cheap car, and I'm looking around and God, it's just so hard. Like, it was so hard. Like, every car was either too expensive or they wouldn't let me finance it. So it's like, I either have to pay all at once or find a way to pay for it over a few months. Like, no more than like 3 or 4 months. So, in May, I went to a place and got a new car. And I'm going to use their name, even though there is only one of them, because these guys can go fuck themselves. It is Below Blue Book. If you live in South Central Pennsylvania, do not go to them. They are awful. Like, I even have their business card. Like, this is their fucking business card. I still have this. Ugh. And this is what I'm gonna do to it. I hate those people. Getting the car itself was annoying. Like, I had to go through so much shit with the insurance company and the bank. I just had enough to pay for it in full. Like, just enough. So, it was a 2008 Chrysler Sebring. And as I'm looking at it, I'm like, this seems too good to be true. Like, everything about it just seemed too perfect. Like, it was only 10 years old, it looks nice, it actually works, like, nothing seemed wrong with it, and they told me, like, no, there's nothing wrong with it. And I trusted them, and they fucked me. The only thing that was sort of wrong was it said the oil was low, and I'm like, okay, I can do that easily. Here's a piece of advice. When you are looking for a car, and they allow you to take it for a drive, take it to a mechanic and get it inspected. Trust me, it may take long. There was a lot wrong with it that I didn't notice. Here's a list. The fuel injector needed replacing. The spark plugs needed replacing. It needed a fuel cleanup. And that's all just so I could drive it. I also had to replace the rear brake pads. replace a belt, replace the air filter, which wasn't too expensive, so that's no problem. The only other problem was that it was pretty high in mileage, like over 200,000 miles for a 10-year-old car. But over the course of the next 2 months, I did most of that. I did pretty much everything that I needed to do, putting so much more money into it. But I'm like, okay, at least I have this very reliable car. My cousin, even who is very good with cars, he did it, looked at it himself and said, after I had done pretty much everything, oh, and the tires. The tires need a replacing. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, my cousin looked at it and was like, yep, everything seems to be in order now. And as soon as I got the tires replaced, I'm like, okay. That was early July. So below Boo Book, you can fucking blow me. The guy who sold it to me is the co-owner. Like, so, yeah, fuck them. Fuck them. I hope they go out of business. I hate you, below Blue Book. Fuck you. But yay, I got the car. It's all good now, right? July 24th. This was a Tuesday. It was about midnight. I'm going to work, and I decided to leave a little early. I don't have to be to work till 1, but I decided to go a little early because it was pouring down rain. This was during the Great Flood of 2018, or at least one of them. Just a side note, this summer sucked. Like, this was awful. It rained all through May, half of July, half of August, and even into September. Fuck this summer. So yeah, it is pouring down rain, and I'm like, okay, I should probably leave a little early. I mean, the roads might be a little bad, so I'm like, okay. And I'm driving about halfway to work. It is pitch black. I can barely see anything, and all of a sudden, I slam into a ginormous puddle, which was essentially a small pond. And admittedly, I will admit, I was going pretty fast, and I probably didn't stop as soon as I should have. Like, as soon as I hit the water, I should have slammed on the brakes and reversed, and then I'm like, but I was like, what the hell's going on? Is there that much water? And then the car just stops. Everything was still running. The radio was running. The engine was technically still running. But I put my foot on the gas, and it just wouldn't go. And I fucking lost it. I screamed so loud in pure rage. I have never been that angry. So I get out, push the car out of the water, thinking, okay, maybe it was just something, maybe if it gets out of the water it'll be fine. Nope. Nope, it wouldn't go. And again, everything was working, it just wouldn't go. So I'm screaming so loud. A few funny things, actually. Someone actually got through. Like, and his car was not bigger than mine. Like, he actually just managed to get through, so I don't know how that happened. And about 10 minutes later, or 15 minutes later, the rain had softened and the water receded. So if I had left around the time that I usually do, I would have still had the car. So kids, don't try and be responsible. Just half-ass everything and procrastinate, and you will probably be better off. I try to get a hold of a towing company to get my car somewhere, and I had a towing company on my phone, because believe me, by this point I'm like, I just want something. And the place was a 24-hour towing company in this state, in like this city, and they just weren't answering. I was pissed. Like, you said you're 24 hours. Well, eventually PennDOT showed up, or was it the PA State Police? I think it was the PA State Police, actually. And they're like, we can get you a tow. And I'm like, okay, good. And the towing they used, I also have a business card for them. Don's Towing. This is the official towing of the Pennsylvania State Police, and we'll get into them in a minute, but first let me talk about what happened to me afterwards. They wouldn't take me to work, so I have to walk, because the roads were blocked. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell my coworkers, like, how to get to me, because every place I knew how to get there was just flooded. I start walking, and it's going off and on between the downpour and just light sprinkling. In order to get to work, I have to go through knee-deep water. It was cold, it was disgusting. I don't know how to get... It would take me too long to get across, I think, and I don't even know if there's a way to get there. Like, I actually have a very limited area of where I go. Like, I know this direction and maybe one other, and that's it. Like, I know how to get to work this way, and there's knee-deep water here, so it's like, fuck it, I'm going through. I make it to work at about 2:30. As soon as I got in, like, fuck this city. PennDOT, you can go fuck yourself too. Because they're so shitty at fixing potholes, that's what caused the problem back in February. Then, of course, they didn't put up any warning lights or anything to let it, hey, there's a fucking pond over here. So as soon as work is over, I have to walk to the towing company. This place, walking, is an hour away, and when I finally get there, I see the prices. The towing itself cost $175, and they charge a $40 a day holding fee. So every day that it's there is 40 extra bucks on the 175. They don't tow to like my regular mechanics. Oh, by the way, I never mentioned the tires I actually got replaced at Meineke. They were the cheapest, and so far they are one of the few who has not fucked me over, so consider this a Meineke recommendation. But yeah, this company won't tow like to Meineke, so they're like, we only tow like so far. I'm like, why? I'm paying you $175. On my way back, I find this place called, what was it called? I have a business card from them too. Cam Auto Center. I just walk in and like, it's literally right down the street, and I'm like, can I drop off my car tomorrow and you guys just find out what's wrong with it and see if it can be fixed? And he's like, sure. And I try to set up a time, and he's like, no, just bring it in. I'm like, okay. So again, I don't have money for Uber. A lot of this is caused by money issues. Like, a lot of problems were caused by money issues. And again, everybody I knew was either working or sleeping. So I get back to my place around 3:30, call my mom. Like, hi Mom, can you put some more money in my account? I felt like dog shit because my parents have their own stuff to worry about. I don't want to ask for money from them, but they did because they're good parents. They really want to help me out. So the next night I get up, once again walk to work. Of course it's fucking pouring out because again, this summer sucked. I get to work and I actually had to stay 3 hours later that day. So I don't get out, so I don't even get out until noon. Then I have to walk down to the mechanic. And here's a fucking funny thing about them. Because they're goddamn con artists, I have no doubt in my mind they're con artists, they don't accept checks or cards. You have to give them cold, hard cash. Because that's not suspicious at all. And remember, this is the company that the PA State Police use. Like, this is the company they use when you can't get a fucking hold of a towing company yourself. So, fuck you too, PA State Police. So I got the car towed to this mechanic. Like, I walk down to the mechanic, say, hey, they're going to be dropping this off in a few minutes, and about 20 minutes. At one point, I get a call saying, hey, where is this? It's literally down the street on your right. You can't miss it. Because these guys are fucking dumbasses. But eventually they get it there. So I think I can finally do this. Don's Towing. Fuck you too. Fucking con artists. That's what they are. They are goddamn con artists. So I'm walking home, and I am tired. Remember, it is so late. Like, it is 3 o'clock in the morning for me. It's hot. Despite the fact that it was raining, for now the freaking sun's beating down on me, my legs hurt. Like, I went to a gas station and got like 2 bottles of water. I had some money left over from money my parents gave me. I can't remember the exact amount I paid for the towing there, the holding days, and towing it to the mechanic, but whatever. It was way more than any other place would ever charge. But I still had some money left over and bought 2 water bottles and just downed one of them in like 5 seconds. Like, I was that thirsty. So I'm walking back, and I am so tired that I had to take frequent breaks. Like, once I was sitting on the steps of an abandoned building, and I genuinely thought I was gonna fall asleep. I was sitting there like this, just like, my eyes were drooping. I could not stay awake. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I might have to just... But then I get up to Burger King, and then I remember, alright, I have some money left over. Uber! Never had used Uber before in my life, but I'm like, fuck it. I'm using it now. I cannot possibly make it back. I am that freaking tired. And hungry. I get home at 4:30. Remember, I get up around 9 usually. So I got up, I walked to work again. I don't want to waste any more money. It's like, I can walk to work. I was rested up. Could I have called, like, one of my coworkers? Sure. But I was just like, you know what? I just want to make this the worst week. Like, that was genuinely my fucking thought. Like, I just want to make this the worst week. And that's what it was. By the time I was there, my legs were just shot. The bottom of my feet, like, it physically hurt to walk, and I had those, I don't know what you call them, when your legs sort of mesh together and it creates red sores. Even my coworkers were finally starting to take notice, like, are you okay? Like, you genuinely seem like you're in pain. I don't let a lot of my coworkers know a lot about it because it's like, I don't want them, like, they have their own problems. Like, we have a lot of problems at work that I don't even want to get into. Cam Auto Center, yeah. So they said they would call Thursday around 9 o'clock to tell me what was wrong with it. And they never did. So before I left work the next day, I called them, and they said they weren't able to look at it yet, because of course they fucking weren't. But they would look at it that day. I believe that was Thursday. Was it Thursday? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was... Yeah, by that point I think it was Thursday. They're like, we'll look at it today, and we'll let you know sometime today. They didn't. I woke up and had no messages. So yeah, they just straight up lied to me. I Ubered home, went to bed. So now it's Friday. I had planned to go up to my parents' place, which is, again, is 3 hours away. So I'm just like, how am I getting... So me and my mom talked it over and we're like, you can take a bus. Oh yeah, the Corolla I actually gave to my parents. So I Ubered to work. I had to stay an extra hour because these guys like making me stay an extra hour. And then I Ubered to the bus station. The bus left at 11:15 and I got there around 10:30. I had some money. My parents gave me a little extra money. Thank you again. But while I'm waiting for the bus to take off, I call Cam Auto Center, and they finally tell me what was wrong with it. The engine's locked. That was what I was expecting. I sort of expected that. I just was hoping against hope. They're like, oh no, we just have to do this little thing. It'll cost a few $100. No. They're like, we can't get you a price until Monday. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I go up to my parents' place and we do stuff. And how do I get back? The Corolla. Now I know what you're thinking. Didn't you say you were going to have to pay like a lot of money to get like the shocks replaced? Turns out no. They took it to a mechanic and it got inspected. And it passed inspection. And so, Firestone, you are lying pieces of shit. Fuck Firestone. I will do my best to never go there again. You are awful. You inflate your prices so much. You lie. So never go to Firestone. And I'm not the only one. I've heard other stories from people who have been fucked over by Firestone. So fuck them. So Monday I'm waiting for a call from Cam Auto Center to tell me what the price will be, and they say, and they don't call. So on Tuesday I'm waiting and they don't call, so I call them. But for some reason they aren't answering. So I have to go down there. Thankfully now I have a car. And what do you know? They didn't even try to get a fucking price on a new engine. They're like, oh, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it today and we'll call you by the end of the day. They didn't. So the next day I once again go down there because I don't trust them to answer their phone. And they actually do have a price. And the engine and labor at the cheapest there would be about $16.50, which was like the worst price they could have given me. It's like just high enough to where it's like I can do it in a few months, but it's like it's almost worth it just to get a new car. So I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do it then anyway, so it's like I wouldn't even be able to do it for a few more months. I pay the $50 that it took for them to inspect it, and I'm allowed to take it home, but how do I do that? So I actually just leave it there, go back home and call my parents, and they're like, okay, just get it up to your apartment and we'll try and get it up to my uncle's place. Again, 3 hours away, because my uncle and cousin are like super good with cars. By this point we didn't really trust the mechanics, so we're like, maybe the engine wasn't really locked up. It probably is, but it's like I liked thinking that it wasn't, and they're just lying. Yeah, so they're like, your uncle knows someone who can get it down here. I mean, up there. Drive the 3 hours for a couple $100. But I have to get it to my apartment. I am not using Don's Towing again, because those guys are fucking con artists, but I managed to find one that'll do it for about $65. Great! The hassle of setting up an appointment with this place is a story I don't even want to get into. But eventually I set up an appointment at the mechanic for 10 a.m. This is early August. So I get out of work at 9, drive to Cam Auto Center. The way it was positioned, like obviously they have to hook up the thing to the front, and it was parked like with its front to a wall. So I have to get in, turn the key, put it in neutral, and push it out. And it was like in this weird thing where I had to keep pushing it and then pushing it forward a little bit because there were other cars there. So I had to keep pushing it out and pushing it in and pushing it out and pushing it in until I finally get it straight. And by that point, it's a little close to 10 a.m. So I go out to the front of the shop and I just wait. And I wait. And I wait. I stood there for almost 2 fucking hours trying to get a hold of these guys, and they're not answering their freaking phones. They don't even have an answering machine. It's just like, sorry, these people aren't available right now, and you're not allowed to leave a message. Around noon, I eventually get a hold of them, and you will never guess what happened. The guy who was supposed to come and pick up my car quit while on his way to pick up my car. I'm not kidding, that's what the guy said. I don't know if I should be angry or respect this guy. Like, I've had some shitty jobs that I have just wanted to quit, but I never did it. So it's like, I kind of respect him, but on the other hand, it's like, at least finish out the day. Like, be nice to your customers and coworkers. So they're like, we probably won't be able to get there until afternoon. When afternoon? I don't know, just afternoon. So I go get some lunch, and then head back, and once I get there, I'm standing out front, again, for fucking hours in blazing hot August sun, next to like a freaking day camp. I must look really creepy. Like I'm this overweight guy, I had these pedo glasses on, just standing there next to this day camp, just waiting for them. One guy actually did come out and was like, are you okay? What are you doing? And I'm just, I'm just waiting for someone. And I'm sitting there for freaking hours. I did get sunburned. I keep trying to call them, and they're not answering. Again, like I was about to give up. I'm like, I am tired, I am hot, and I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. I want to go home. I want to go home and I want to sleep. I didn't know if I should try and put the car back. I go out and look at the car, and I'm just starting to walk back to the Corolla. I'm like, you know what, let's just go out front one more time and see if he's there. And lo and behold, he was. It was about 3:30, and he finally fucking shows up. I just like put on the smiley face and like, yeah, thank you for showing up, thank you for doing this. He gets it. I go home, and as soon as I get home, I down an entire bottle of water because I was so freaking thirsty. And he drops it off. So now comes the task of trying to get it up to my uncle's place. Like I said, my mom has a number for a guy my uncle knows who would do it, and he just wouldn't do it. Like either he wasn't answering or he had like some parts missing. I don't know. Bottom line, he couldn't do it. That's sort of where the story of the Chrysler ends. Like I said, this doesn't have a happy ending or really a sad ending, just a pointless ending. It's still out there. It's still out there in my parking lot, just sitting there waiting for something. I don't really know what's going to happen. I have a few choices. I could scrap it, try and find a place that will replace the engine. I have the money to do that, like at least at Cam Auto Center, like if they still have that. But I would want to try and test out to see if other places would do it for cheaper. Or I could try and get a towing company to take it up to my uncle's. Maybe he can fix it, or like he can at least get an engine. So it's like maybe I could at least save like $600 or something. That's sort of the end of the Chrysler story. But it's not the end of the Corolla story, because just a few days ago, we had a major snowstorm on Thursday the 15th. I'm recording this on the 18th. I got out of work at noon because of that, and I could not get home. Like what took me 10 minutes, I got halfway there in about 40. Traffic was backed up. It was slushy and icy because once again, PennDOT fucking sucks. The third time this year they fucked me. So I just park and sleep and take a nap in the car. Like I'm just like, I'm not dealing with this shit. The next day, the car won't start. Like it's clearly trying. Like it's definitely trying, but it just won't start. I wasn't even angry. Nor was I really sad. I'm just like, yeah, this does seem like something that would happen. Turns out, two things. One, it was like absolutely empty on oil, like almost 100%. It never told me. It's just, I lifted the dipstick and it's like no oil. Like absolutely, like this little splotch. And the other problem, the battery. It just needed to be jump started. So I got one of my neighbors to help me with that. And once it started, and of course get the oil. Once the car started, oh my god, I was so happy. Like I was so happy. The nice thing about these horrible things happening to you is that once you're past it, you appreciate stuff so much more. Like I was feeling sad that like, oh, I don't like this Corolla, I don't like it. But afterwards, I'm like, oh, I love you so much, Corolla, you are so nice. Like, don't ever leave me. Don't ever scare me like that again. Like, you appreciate it so much more. You don't really think about it, but cars play such an important part of our lives. I think Alternate History Hub actually has a great video on this where before cars, cities and towns had to be designed to where you could either walk everywhere or your horse could walk everywhere. And anywhere else, any further away, you had to take a train. But after the cars were invented and became so mainstream, cities were spread out. Towns were spread out. Like, no matter how small town you are, like, chances are you probably have to drive somewhere. Again, what takes me 10 minutes to get to work took me an hour and a half by driving. By walking. And thus ends the tale of woe of my mechanical problems over the past 12 months. So yeah, like I said, this didn't really have a happy ending. It doesn't have a sad ending. I don't know what I'm going to do with the Chrysler. I might try and get it fixed down here. I might try and get it up to my uncle's. I'm going up to my parents' place this weekend for Thanksgiving. I'll try and talk it over with them. Be like, is it worth it? Like, can I just try and find some place that'll do it down here? Or maybe I'll just forget about it. So once I finally figure out what to do, I'll like add a edit in the description to tell what happened with it. But yeah, I want to give a few thank yous and fuck yous. So thank you to my parents. You were both awesome. You both do some things to annoy me, but I would not have been able to get through this year without you. And I promise that as soon as I'm done paying off my student loans, I will pay you back. Thank you to my cousin for proving to me that my Chrysler was in good health. Monroe and Meineke, you guys are okay. I'm still a little peeved that Monroe just gave me a new muffler when I came in for brake pads and told me I didn't need brake pads even though I did. But it's like, okay. And Meineke, you guys are okay. I might try and see if they'll do it. If any of you guys know if Meineke will replace an engine, let me know. Cam Auto Center, I don't like you, but I am not going to rip up your business card because I might actually have to use you guys if the engine, if I can't find a cheaper engine. Thanks to my coworkers for, I guess, sticking by me, even if I tried to hide my problems from you a little bit. And finally, some fuck yous. Fuck you, Firestone. You are price gouging pieces of shit. You are awful. You are liars. I hate you. Fuck Below Blue Book. You guys sold me a shitty car with so many more problems. And yeah, sure, it was kind of my fault for not taking it to get inspected. But you know what? It's still you guys who just said, oh no, there's nothing else wrong with it. Besides, like, it just needs some oil. So yeah, fuck you. Fuck you to hell. I hope you guys go out of business. Fuck the PA State Police for using Don's Towing as their goddamn source when they need someone to tow for them. Fuck Don's Towing. You are scam artists and way too expensive for a simple tow. Fuck PennDOT. You guys fucked me over 3 times this year. Get your goddamn act together. And finally, fuck Navient. I mean, they didn't really have anything to do with the cars, but you know what? If I didn't have these loans to worry about, it would have been a lot easier. So fuck you too, Navient. I want to make Navient like a swear word. Like, the other N-word. Like, if you call someone Navient, it's as bad as calling a black person the N-word. But it'll probably never happen. My advice, make sure you have either Uber or Lyft ready to go. Make sure you have money. Like, make sure you have plenty, at least enough money to where you can afford to get a ride. Buy a bike too. Like, I think I would have been so much better off if I at least had a bike. That way I wouldn't have, I could have maybe have cut that hour-and-a-half trip to work down to like maybe a half hour, 45 minutes. When you buy a car, make sure you take it to a mechanic to get inspected. Shop around more. I did a little shopping around when I was going to look for cars, but I probably could have found something else. And if I looked up Below Blue Book, like some of their Google and Yelp reviews, like they get fucking shit. They are fucking terrible, and rightfully so. And always look out for potholes, because this all started, really, like, with that little pothole that I hit. If I had not hit that, I probably would be in better shape right now. Yeah, any other life things that I might have forgotten you could probably get from the actual video. So this was fun. I've wanted to do this video for a while. I kind of have more. Like, I kind of want to talk about my adventures in weight loss and some part-time jobs I've had. And maybe I'll do those next year. But for right now, fuck cars, fuck Firestone, fuck Navient, fuck PennDOT, fuck Below Blue Book, fuck Don's Towing, and see y'all next time. Bye.